I get started with the public safety meeting for May of 2024. I'm Lisa Dorsey, Chair of the committee. I have with me Brian McGinnis and Nicole Scamone. Next item on the agenda is comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion items. Discussion item A is Westchester Fire Department, Chief Scanlon.
Good evening, Mark Scanlon, Fire Chief. In the month of April, the fire department responded to 124 incidents, with 45 being in Westchester Borough. This brings the yearly total for the department responses to 562, with 221 being in the borough. Members participated in 1,619.45 hours of training and 1,015 hours of additional activities. These additional activities include public relations, time spent in station gyms, training preparations, and meetings. For 2024, the members have participated in 7,099 hours of training and 4,426 hours of various activities. There was an estimated property loss of $75,350 and a content loss of $21,000 compared to an estimated property value prior to the incidents of $350 and estimated property content of $300,000. Note of incidents for April. On April 4th, there was a trash fire on West Biddle Street where a mattress was set on fire. A tree fire on April 16th, which was a result of unattended yard waste burning, and a house fire on April 22nd on West Market Street. Crews responded within 2 minutes of the call being received by the Chester County 911 Center, arrived finding a large amount of smoke coming from the residents. Entry was made with the fire located on the first floor rear living area. The fire was quickly extinguished. The family of the homeowner were extremely appreciative of the efforts by all individuals at the scene. Following up on the issue that was presented last month with the department pre-planning members finding life safety issues during their property visits that were not being addressed. An addendum was written and advising property owners or managers that if an issue was found and was not corrected within 45 days, the local fire marshal municipality would be informed. We spoke with the local fire marshals who agreed that 45 days was appropriate. After doing this, all issues that were found and presented to owners and managers have been corrected. Bills for fire alarms for repeated offenders were sent out in March. At this time, we do not have any information if the bills have been paid. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
One question I've just been thinking about, like, do you're reporting out what's happened, of course, every month. Are there, I wouldn't say targets, right? Like, but are there expectations of what would happen on a yearly basis and that you guys kind of track, and that's how you use it for staffing? And how does all of this kind of factor in against the expectations for a particular month or year?
The targeted expectation is that from dispatch on scene is approximately 8 minutes. That's a national standard that we try to meet. With the live-in programs that all 3 stations have, we are able to meet that or be very close to that. For fire alarms, there is no national standard for fire alarms. We are trying to keep them under control and keep them around 40%. Last month, we were a little higher at 46%, but we're trying to control that with sending out bills to repeated offenders. So to give them, some motivation to correct their issues.
Do you have any expectations on a given year of how many fires there's going to be or anything like that? Do you guys did for staffing or anything?
We have no expectation or guesstimate of how many fires we'll get a year. We can look at previous numbers and say, in this year, we've had this many calls, and go back by that and get an average. But unfortunately, with the population increase, our numbers seem to be going up year over year.
Mr. McGinnis, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Next on the agenda, we have Westchester Police Department, Chief Lee.
Hi, I'm Josh Lee. I'm the police chief. That's me. That was the parade 2 weeks ago, and I just want to say, most times I come up here and I have a big smile on my face. Go back, Bill. That I certainly had it 2 Saturdays ago. Great time. Thanks for everybody that had something to do with that. Thanks to the mayor and everybody that took place. It was great. If we move to the numbers, Similar to most months of note, we had 17 assaults, 17 violent crimes, one of which was an aggravated assault. Of the 17 assaults, 14 have been cleared. A reminder that clearance means either an arrest has been made or it's been determined to have been resolved without an arrest. So although that number seems high, we've cleared them all. Well, almost all of them, sorry. We did have one burglary reported that was also cleared. So the good news there is that as far as major and violent crimes go, our clearance rate is extremely high. Forgeries, frauds, everything else to the right are in pace with previous month and previous year's numbers. Any questions on the numbers before we move on? And then next week, this is exciting. We'll be promoting some officers. Mayor DeBaptiste will be coming to council with some names of some officers for promotion. Very exciting time for the police department. So I'm really happy to pre-announce that. But you guys will be seeing those names next week. And at the end of the last item on the agenda, I'll be back up. We have something special to present to council also. Thank you.
Questions?
No.
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. How many vehicular incidents were there last month, and was there any common causes? Thank you.
I could touch on a little bit. We had in the borough, Mr. Cook, we had 35 property damage accidents, 3 accidents with injury, and 17 hit and run accidents, totaling that's 55 total accidents, only 3 of which had injuries. And the overwhelming majority of crashes to begin with are human error, and that is true of the accidents we responded to last month.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? All right, we will move on to Good Fellowship.
Good evening, everybody. Assistant Chief Lenny Brown from Good Fellowship. Overall, I said, first of all, our apologies for getting the report to you guys a little bit later so that way you guys didn't have necessarily enough time to review it beforehand. But overall, our numbers are consistent with everything that we expect as far as our benchmarks are concerned. For the month of April in 2024, we had 164 incidents in the borough, which is a couple less than last year, but still on pace with our averages and our benchmarks and what we expect. Days across the week were pretty much spread fairly evenly for what we expect, Saturday and Sundays. With the uptick of the borough events and everything that's going on now, we're starting to see a little bit more uptick on the weekends now that the weather's getting nice. So it's one of those double-edged swords that it's good that the borough's out and thriving and people are coming out. And also we see that little bit of an uptick in there. Overall, like I said, the rest of the numbers are pretty much on par. Can confirm 2 BLS accidents with injuries on my report here as well. So we're good with those numbers. And everything else is pretty much on par. A couple things for us in addition to our report is EMS Week this year is May 19th to the 25th. This is the 50th anniversary of a nationally recognized EMS Week. So we're very excited that on Thursday, May 23rd, along with that EMS Week, we're going to celebrate with a annual community open house at Good Fellowship at 600 Montgomery Avenue. We'll have a lot of our mutual aid partners, the fire companies, police departments, ERT, and a lot of other things that are going to be there, including like moon bounce, face painting, food trucks, axe throwing, that sort of stuff that will be all available there on Thursday, the 23rd. And that runs from 5 to 7:30. One of the other things that just recently popped up this week was out at our East Bradford station, our station 255 that sits along Downingtown Pike. There was a small electrical fire that occurred in the late overnight hours. Thankfully, our crew was awake. They immediately recognized that there was an issue, extinguished the fire, and we had West Bradford Fire Company come out and check the facility to make sure that everything was okay with that. As of now, that crew has been relocated back to our main station for the last 2 days. Belfour and 1-800 Board Up was out today to professionally clean and make sure that the building is back in a shape that our crews can go back there safely. So we anticipate within the next day or so to be relocated back out there as well. But there was no injuries. West Bradford was phenomenal coming out and helping us to get that all squared away. And like I said, our friends from 1-800 Board Up came out the second that we called and to get us back in service. So you might see some stuff floating around on our social media with that, but there was no injuries. Everybody's okay. We plan to go back to our normal operations within the next day or 2.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Any questions from council?
No.
Any questions in the audience? Okay. All right, moving on to action items. For special events, Mr. Korowski, Friends of Marshall Square Park Music Hall?
Yes.
Music at Marshall?
Sure. If I may just go over these kind of in a different order than 1, 2, 3, 4. Item 1, Friends of Marshall Square Park, kind of a rinse and repeat. They've been running these events in Marshall Square Park for several years. The event has been signed off by the police department and the Parks and Rec department. There are no changes from the last year to this year that would be significant. Item 4, Turk's Head Music Festival, large event, but again, no significant changes from previous years to this year. Same footprint, same setup, music, vendors, pretty much all contained within the parameters of the park, except for the 2 blocks of Brandywine Street between Union and Minor, and then Minor Street between Bradford and Brandywine. Those are 2 straightforward events that take place year in and year out here at the borough. Any questions on those 2 recurring events? Item 2, small block party for a residential birthday. We handle block parties all the time. They're shutting down a street for a certain amount of time on a weekend to have a birthday party. Again, the event has been signed off by the police and the Parks and Rec department. Item 3 is one that is asking for a waiver of fees. That's why it's specifically on the schedule here. Again, I'm going to screw this up. First Westchester, 225th birthday party. They're looking to shut down a block of Church Street in September. They've already spoken to the Public Works Department and the Police Department. They're both okay with allowing the fire department to handle their responsibilities the day of as far as shutting down the street. They're also both okay with waiving the fees, but that would ultimately come down to you. They're saying that they're okay with that and the fire department taking the lead on closing that block down. Now, if things were to change, if the demographics of the gathering were to change, or if they were to be expecting more people, we'd be back before you in August. If there would be another need for more police or more than they're expecting currently. But they're only expecting that there is no police needed. It's going to be a small gathering of folks. That's why the police have said, we're okay with you handling your own security for that event that day.
Remind me again how much the fees are that we're waiving?
$180 per officer for, I think it's a minimum of 3 hours per officer. So it'd probably be about $900.
When you said the demographics would change, what do you mean by
They're
that?
looking somewhere between maybe like 300 and 500 people. If those things were to change, if all of a sudden they're thinking, oh my God, we're going to get 1,000 people or more, the police may require them to have an officer on staff.
Okay, so you mean the size of the
Correct,
group,
yes.
not necessarily demographics. Okay.
So right now they'd be looking for the waiver of, I think it's the 2 officers for the duration of the event.
So wait, I'm a little confused because you're saying self-monitoring and then you're saying officers. Are there going to be, are we waiving police or are we waiving police fees?
Well, I guess that a little screwed up. The Public Works Department is waiving their people. The fire department is going to be shutting down the street on their own. The police department would have staff on the ground, but we're asking for the waiver of their fees for the event. I mixed the 2 up. So Public Works will not be boots on the ground, police will be. And the 2 police officers for the duration of the event, we're asking for the waiver of their fees.
I don't have any issue with it.
Yeah, and that's the $900.
$900, correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
And then the last event is a new event. It is item number 5, the Citizens for Life March and Rally. It is a rally that'll start in town and end up at Everhard Park. It's a new event. There will be fees associated with that. The organizer will have to pay. Is there any questions about the events in general? Again, all the events have been signed off by the police department and the Parks and Rec department. Everything's been reviewed.
I'm sorry, did you say when that event was?
Off the top of my head, that is going to be June 22nd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any objection.
Any from the audience? Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. Item B, approve the April 2024 meeting minutes. And
Okay.
then other business, presentation of dispatcher 911 award by the Downingtown VFW.
Thank you, ma'am. If I may, I'd like to introduce Thomas Flick. Thomas is with the Downingtown VFW post number 845, and he'll be presenting the 911 Dispatcher Award. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Chief. Also with me, it's Lou Franconi, Bob Fernholtz, and John Mitchell, and they'll be assisting with the award. We are here tonight to recognize the VFW Outstanding Dispatcher of 2023. Dispatchers play an important role in the safety of our communities and to first responders alike. Too often, they are overlooked for the very stressful and difficult tasks that they perform. Dispatchers are the first link to report an emergency, whether it is to report a crime, a fire, or natural disaster. While handling citizens at the dispatcher window, they are also answering the phone, transmitting on the radio, and entering vital information into multiple computer systems. If you've never done this, it's not easy. They deserve a lot of credit. It's important dispatchers know that they are very much appreciated. With that being said, Tracy Gordon, will you please come up and receive your award? I have known Tracy since she first came to Westchester to be our dispatcher. It was my pleasure to have her as our squad's dispatcher for much of that time. She has the incredible ability to multitask and continue to remain calm under the most stressful situations. As a police officer, it was reassuring to know that she was at the helm. With that, I want to present you with our certificate of recognition, Outstanding Dispatcher. Present you with a check for $500.
Yes. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, any other business? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned at 6:48.